Alright, hey guys, welcome back to another video. So my nose is kind of stuffy, so it might sound different, but we're back with it. So today we have another thread discussion video, and this one's going to be diplomacy developments. And this was released before 1.5.1, but throughout, I think halfway through this thread, through the thread pages, it's past 1.5.1. So I'm going to make this like probably like a 2 or 3 part series. The first one, we're going to go over the main post. Has a lot of juicy information from the developers, and probably finish the first page up. And then we'll look over the other pages. There's a lot more dev replies, probably in a second or third video. And like always, this thread will be listed down below if you want to read it all for yourself. But without further ado, let's get to it. So diplomacy developments. So as some of you know, after your request, I've been working on war and peace votings for last 1.5 weeks. First of all, before we do continue this, if you have not played 1.5.1, I really suggest you play it. War and peace has been changed dramatically, and even from my game that I played pretty much on my stream, we saw that the Sturgians were fighting back. They even captured some land literally in the middle of the map, kind of like right over here. If I show you, in this area, they captured like 4 castles, and then the Azrai, which usually get kicked, they usually get kicked out on this side, right? They took over this town, and this town. So pretty much, and lastly, every kingdom was at war with only 1 to 2 kingdoms. It never went above that. They usually went to peace if it ever got that close. It usually was just one other opponent for each kingdom. And I think this is a very crucial update. It was smaller than most, but the changes were crazy. And I really think it's due to this developer right here. So he does deserve, you know what I mean, some, some thanks. Like, I thank him, you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure a lot of other people thank him as well on this thread. But as you can see, he has been working. He's gotten all the facts, all the information that we are going to go over. And yeah, 1.5.1 just feels like a new game, to be honest with you, when it comes to, like, you know, war and how kingdoms develop and how they stay. They don't just snowball out of control anymore, which has been a problem for a long time, and it looks like it's finally fixed. So big ups to him. Alright, so first 2 to 3 days, I examined codes to understand what is going on, then changed several parts, and then tested new codes and changed again according to results of these tests. So a lot of testing. There will be several developments at these issues. I will give you some information about this. In several posts, I already gave some information. However, it is better to collect all here now and give more details. All these developments will be ready at 1.5.1. So we might have gone over some of these in previous Dev Talk videos, but let's just go over them again. As you know, we have several problems affecting gameplay negatively currently. These are snowballing of some factions, especially Khazaits, and some factions being destroyed in the first 1 to 2 years. Sturgians, some of the empires, and stuff of that nature. There is no comeback. If a faction is losing their settlements, they cannot stop this generally, and you do not see surprising results. If a faction did well in the first years, then they 90% continue being better and better by time. That's another thing that was changed. If let's say if one of these empires, they get completely destroyed, right? Just like through natural wars, and they only have, like, let's say 1 town left, or they even have no towns or castles left, they will still form armies and they will still try to fight back and take land, which I think is very, very good. And obviously it gives us comeback potential, which I think is very, very good. Because even in my gameplay, I'm pretty sure I saw one of these kingdoms, I think it was the Southern Empire, who had at one point only 3 more towns. And you would think the Azrai is very strong, the Khazaits are very strong, those 3 towns are going to get taken and they're over with. Then they moved back to 5 more towns, you know what I mean? So they kind of like went up, then down, then back up, which I think is very cool. And then third, after some time, which shared between 3 to 4 big kingdoms, could go into stable peacetime for long years. If a player does not make any interaction, even one settlement does not change hands, and even one settlement is not rated for years. This doesn't happen 100% of the time, only some games. And this he's pretty much talking about is some people have shared that once everybody went to peace, nobody wanted to start wars again. It was just peacetime forever, unless the player obviously started something like a war or attack on somebody else. So they stated that has changed as well. in 1.5.1. So when I examined reasons of these problems, it was obvious the general problems laid down on war/peace voting. Sometimes a weak faction faced with 3 strong enemies, and even in this scenario, clans of this faction do not support making peace with any of these 3 kingdoms. Here's an example. As you can see right here, they're at war with 3. They should make peace because obviously they are pretty much surrounded. Enemies pretty much on all fronts instead of the, what's it called? Apart from the Azerai, but they should make peace, right? In this situation, if Western Empire does not make peace with at least one of the enemies, it is nearly certain they will lose some of their settlements. Let's look how support ratios at peace votings with 3 recent enemies. Note that 11% comes from player. Okay. So from these we got, can we up it? There we go. So for Southern Empire and Khazaits, consider making peace. Yeah, the 11% is from the player itself. So as you can see, only this one has 2 extra percent. So most of them do not support it, even though, logically speaking, they should. When a player is member of these usually losing factions, Sturgian, Western Empire, Northern Empire, they become disturbed because of this situation. Players try to help this faction, but it is nearly impossible. They need to go and help different fortifications in all borders facing with different enemies. Even some players made a video related to this. This is also a good video. I did watch it when it had a good thumbnail. Let me see if I could reload it so I can show you guys a thumbnail. There it is. So I did watch it, and pretty much what it's showcasing is a player working his hardest, defeating army after army after army after army as Sturgia and still losing everything, which, you know, shouldn't happen. So now after developments, clans in our kingdoms act more logical. If his faction has different enemies and different borders, they now try to reduce number of enemies even by paying tributes. Paying tributes is not so big of a deal for a time until things get better. Now here are the new supports in the same situation after developments. This was the before and after, so we had 11, 11, 13. And now we have 72, 77, 89. Significantly better, right? So that is not the only development. Also, while peace or war votings, clans now care what is the situation of garrisons / food stocks of fiefs, especially their own fiefs. Also, they care about how much percent of party men limit are used in lords' parties. So if most of their lords' parties are halfway depleted through a lot of constant fights, that plays a big part. Their food plays a big part, and so does their garrison size. They also, for example, if lots of villages are raided or lords' parties are using less percentage. Okay, we did read that. They also care now how war is going. You can see stats in diplomacy window. If enemy raided lots of villages and has lots of successful sieges, and war clans tend to support peace by paying tribute. Okay. Oh, okay. So pretty much, hold on, let me just finish this. So all game elements are now connected better to each other, and every action have a result even on these votings. Clans also now care about locations of their fiefs. For example, if you are at war with Khazait and Clan X has settlements in border with Khazait, so Clan X supports peace more than the other clans. That's very interesting. So let me just read this last part before I do talk about this, because this is very interesting. Here's an example of border effect on voting. I'm going to say U and A have settlements close to the Western Empire, so they want peace more than others. Also, Q's clan has no settlements. They want war. Of course, this is only a side effect. Azerai generally want peace because they have more settlements, but in terms of lord and garrison powers, Western Empire is better. Okay, so here's what this tells me. As you can see, the guys who are the owners that pretty much are getting raided more, they want peace more, obviously. And the guys who don't get raided or who might live over here, right, they don't want peace because they're still fine, right? So this is very, very interesting. So raiding, by this explanation, raiding is very, very effective now if you want a clan to make peace with you, which is very significant. So because this wasn't in the game before, but now since these changes, if you wanted to end a war, then raid as much as you can. Raid as much different. You can look up who owns these certain places, right? And let's say if you really wanted to, as the player, you can run in here, raid some of this guy's stuff, then to change this guy's opinion to a yes, raid some of his stuff as well, and go from there. And then they're gonna want peace, which is very cool, and it kind of makes, it really does make sense. So very cool thing. It kind of gives it a little bit in-depth feel. You can kind of you know, play off of that, which again, very, very cool. And also, since they pay attention to food stocks, if you destroy caravans and stuff of that nature, or if you attack their villagers as they're going to the town, guess what? They're carrying food, they're carrying other stuff. So that affects it as well. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do now in terms of like what to attack specifically. So it's not just, oh, the only way I'm going to win is if I take over their town. No, you can severely, severely damage it, and they'll make peace with you, and then they'll be paying you money, right? So you can put that into effect, which is very, very cool. I want to give you some numbers for comparing 1.5 situation before developments and 1.5.1 situation after developments. This table shows number of fortifications. Each fortification counted as 2 for town, 1 for castle per faction before developments, which is 1.5. As you see, Western Empire is gone at 1086. Sturgeon is gone at 1087. Southern Empire and Northern Empire is gone at 1092. After that time, only 4 kingdoms remained, and their own settlements did not change after 1092 because they did not declare war against themselves. Okay. So this is the year, this is the fortifications. And when they drop to 0 is when they're pretty much out of the map, right? And there's no comeback, really. Once you drop to 0, there's no comeback, right? So, are we going to see a comeback here, kind of? Okay, let's read this. So let me just make this bigger for you guys. As you can see, it's year, fortifications, and clans. So, oh, so this is the clan number that they have. Okay. So obviously, as their settlements drop off, their clans drop off as well, which makes sense, right? But there's never any comebacks. That's what we can get from this graph. So when I examine it, it's big kingdoms not declaring war against others. The reason I see that some things were affecting your war scores more than they need to. For example, if your kingdom has one settlement with less loyalty, with let's say loyalty is 0 and it has 5,000 prosperity, declaring war score was getting negative a lot from only this factor. If kingdom gets bigger, it was having more settlements, which affects declaring your war score negatively. Okay, so that's why they went into peace. So he's trying to explain that this is why they went to peace, because there was a problem with settlement loyalty and stuff of that nature, which made a really huge, you know what I mean, number, which calculated for the kingdoms to stay, what's it called? Not declare war, pretty much. For example, if a kingdom has 3 settlements with low loyalty, war score gets about negative 100k. This is only an example. There are more of them. Now all these effects are more balanced. If a kingdom has more settlement effects, of these things are reduced now. Okay. So that's pretty much how they reduced the peace. Pretty much the overall like world peace problem people were having. This is how they fixed it, by reducing these variables. Now this is the same table for a run after developments. Here only Northern Empire has gone at 1092 and Western Empire has gone at 1091. However, Western Empire made a comeback at 10. See, so here's the comeback at 1093, because even it is rare now. Kingdoms can make a comeback because weak kingdoms, which lost more than 75% of their starting settlements, were not forming armies. This bug is also fixed during these developments. Again, very cool in my opinion. This area still needs work, by the way. Even they make a comeback, they cannot stay long. They again get wiped out after a couple of years. Anyway, even they are Anyway, even they are wiped out. It is a step forward for now. Also, world did not be stable, and snowballing is less after developments. Okay, so he states that they do make a comeback, but at the same time, it still needs more work because they can't really make a full comeback. It's just temporary. So as you can see, Northern Empire was completely dropped off, but Western Empire, they went to 0, and then they went back to 1, but then back to 0. So, yeah. Still a little bit better. There's a lot more, what you would call it, a lot more. What am I trying to say? A lot more kingdoms are still in the running, which is very, very good. And yeah. After 9 years, test results with developments, all war/peace declarations and map screenshots of this run is shared below this post. Okay. So, the fortifications by year. Okay. So it's fortifications, clans, and gold average per clan leader. Okay, so the Western Empire and Sergians still do kind of meh. Alright. Now, what are new problems? What are the new problems after all this was fixed? Okay, let's get to it. How long is this? Oi, oi, oi. What in the world? I don't even know what this means. But okay, hold on. We're going to go over that as well. Okay, so now what are new problems? There are lots of different code changes in these areas, so we can now have another problems when 1.5.1 is out. For example, now there happens 1 to 5 day small wars. I explained why they can happen yesterday in another post. I am copy and pasting it. By the way, you will see some short wars 1 to 5 days because sometimes after a war is declared, tribute is accepted by the other faction. Or there are some cases faction X is paying too much for faction Y because of the previous deal with faction X does not want to pay that tribute at some point. Because they get stronger or enemy gets weaker, one of their wars they're involved is ended. And to stop paying tribute X, faction X declares war. Okay, so pretty much what he's trying to say is if one faction that was smaller at one point is paying tribute to a bigger faction, right? But that bigger faction then falls down and it becomes a smaller faction, and the person who was paying tribute to them, the only way they can end that tribute is by going to war. So that's kind of why it would happen, and then obviously it would end quick because they don't really want a war, they just want to stop paying. Okay. Then faction Y accepts getting less tribute than making peace again. Okay. Or for another example, faction X declares war against faction Y, then faction Z declares war on faction X. Then X is facing 2 enemies and accepts 1 peace offer. These are some scenarios creating short wars. We'll try to make these short wars to happen less by time. Anyway, I have control over these codes now and will follow your feedbacks. At first days when these new codes pass, we can have some minor problems, but they will be easy to fix. Okay, so he said that there are still going to be problems like the ones he just listed, but they are looking for fixes. Let's continue with more before/after tables. These are settlement variables. Before developments here, as I mentioned above, world goes into stable peace at some point. As you see, no raided villages after some time. Okay, so make this bigger. So we got the years, we got towns. So prosperity average completely goes up. Projects, militia, everything's going up. Okay. Okay. Alrighty. Yeah, so everything's going up, so therefore you can see they're not getting as many raids because world peace started right here. So no more villages are getting raided. Okay. Now after developments, as you can see, if we go over here, villages are getting raided regardless, so there's not really that much peace. There it is. And yeah. Again, another 9-year run after developments. Okay, kind of similar to what we just saw. Now irrelevant. Okay, so this is not with the topic. Lesson: you can compare food amounts and settlements before and after. There are developments of these two. Now some. Okay. Okay, so these are two relevant things. I want to thank Blood Griffin. He prepared a table from data I shared yesterday. However, in data there were some mistakes, so he found some war counts as negative. I'm giving new data set all peace war declarations after development. This time I collected them more carefully, and anybody interested can examine what is going on world after developments. W equals war. P. Okay, so this is what this is. Oh Jesus Christ! It's way too late for me to read this. We're gonna check some of the pictures, but I don't know about all this. It looks cool though. If you guys really want to examine this, if you're really keen to do it, then you can do it. But yeah, it's way too late for me. W equals war, P equals peace, N equals Northern Empire, W Western Empire, SC Southern Empire, KH Khazate, ST Sturgens, VL Vlandian. Last value is tribute paid from faction 1 to faction 2. Jesus. Okay, so world situation at the start of 1086. Of course they joined the Khazates. Of course. Okay, so everyone's kind of equal. Now what's changed? They got an extra one, and so did the Khazates, right? No, they didn't. So just the Khazates got an extra one. They got actually 3 extra ones. So Khazates are moving up. I think the Vlandians are moving up too, right? No, not yet. Okay. Now what do we have? Khazates move up a little bit further. Southern Empire takes Poros. No, that they start with Poros. Okay. Sturg is still untouched, which is surprising. Next, what do we have? They keep taking, keep growing. Varcheg is taken, and so is TL, so Sturgens are starting to fall. Southern Empire is starting to do worse as well. Okay. 1090, what do we have? Sturgens are completely screwed. So is the Northern Empire. Western Empire took some from the Northern Empire. And yeah. What else we got here? So Khazates keep moving. Hey, look at these guys. Azerai took 2 towns up here as well. Southern Empire is screwed. They're the first one to go down. The other 2 empires are screwed as well. The Battanians move down here. And the last one, Southern Empire is wiped out. These 2 empires about to be wiped out as well. The Azerai somehow got Omar. And Sturgens are pretty much close to being wiped out. As we see, we still have snowballing. Problem is not completely solved, but it will be better with 1.5.1. Okay, so this was the 1.5.0. So this thing that we just all these pictures are 1.5.0. So yeah, and I can tell you it has been fixed after playing 1.5.1 for a little bit. Let's read some of these comments real quick and let's get out of here. So seems really promising. Yeah, the system actually working, I think, is better than trying to add things like alliances and sorts. If war and peace are not declared or declared often, what is the point? I feel like they still are going to add alliances. Post is a masterclass on how to be an interested dev, for sure. Man, really put in some work. Amazing explanation. I'm excited. Really. Like, 1.5 is very, very good in my opinion. Data table. Jesus Christ. Okay. Oh, so this is the guy. He just... Okay, so he added into his post this thing right here. After some days. There it is. A lot to read. Okay. The attacked faction should seek peace immediately when there are too many enemies. Make peace with at least one faction. Yep. Thank you, Mexico. Also, are the flags showing the army positions on the overview map 1.5 already, or is this new? That is in 1.5, I'm pretty sure, right? Came in 1.5, there it is. Okay. This is going to make a lot of people happy. Thanks. I hope we won't see new problems related to changes much. I tried to test them deeply, but real tests will happen when the new patch is out. If there are any problems I could not catch, they will fix with adjustments and hot fixes. We did have one problem where some of the tributes were way too high, but I think that will be fixed in a hot fix. Name is clearly visible. Okay, no, not actually porn. Thanks for information. And boom. Whew. Okay, that was a lot of reading. That was a lot to do, but I do appreciate this post. Like I stated, I'm going to probably do a part 2 and part 3 where we will go through the pages together because there's a lot of pages. There's, what is there, 20 pages. We're going to go through these pages together. We're going to see what other information there is and stuff of that nature. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. Has any questions, any concerns? Full thread link will be down below. And like always, stay safe.